Okay, so I'm just going to show you how we could potentially brighten up the side of this building. So I have my layers palette here. Okay, I'm going to duplicate that layer. So I'm going to right click and duplicate layer. And I'm going to call this dodge. And I'll explain why in a moment. Okay, and I'm going to double click on this original layer and I'm going to call it original. Okay, so as you can see, the dodge layer is on top of the original layer. Okay, so when I start making changes on the dodge layer, we won't see the original layer. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, Control minus. Okay, and I'm going to use something called the dodge tool. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the dodge layer. Okay, and over here on the left hand side, sorry, in the wrong place, you see that there's the dodge, the burn, and the sponge tool. Okay, so they're kind of halfway down, 2/3 of the way down. The burn tool will darken an area, the dodge tool will brighten an area. So I'm going to select the dodge. It looks like a little kind of a pin. Okay, I can see my mouse is quite small, so if I use my right square bracket, I can increase the size of my brush, or I can right click and increase or decrease the size there. You'll see that my hardness is down really low, so it's really hard. It's going to have a very hard edge, so I can kind of bring that up a little bit. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll very gently start rubbing this area, and you can see it's actually brightening it up here now. Okay, it's subtle, but it works. So as you can see, the area is getting a little bit brighter. Okay, so if I turn on and off my layer, I can see the difference before and after. Okay, now I'm going to turn off that dodge layer now, just so we can try something different. Okay, again, I'm going to duplicate this original layer. So right click and duplicate layer. Okay, and this time I'm going to call this selection. Okay, so remember, dodge layer isn't seen. Okay, so this time I'm going to get my polygonal lasso tool. So basically I want to make a selection of this building. So I'm going to click, 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 and you can be a bit more particular than me perhaps. Now I'm not being very particular about this. So click, 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 1, 2, 3. So when I go around the outside, I don't need to be particular. Okay, so I have that selection created. Okay, I think that has worked. And then if I go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast, you can see that I'm brightening that section of the building alone. Okay, so for example, if I do something like this, I can press OK, and now that section of the building is brightened. Now I could still come back here and darken this section, so I can deselect, and instead I could come over here to where I had dodge. I could choose burn, make my brush a little bit bigger, and I could darken this. So it's like I'm brightening the building, but I'm darkening this part back up. So the first layer that you can see here is dodge. I turn that off. Then this is where we had the selection, and then that's the original.